Good morning, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us today. We are very fortunate. I was able to chase down two of my top favorite students here at SCNM, and although everyone has a special place in this little heart of mine, Mr. Katz and Ms. Cook have been such a great addition to the admissions department and help us repeatedly with students, really helping to show them maybe a little more of an inside view of how to apply and then the day-to-day activities surrounding a naturopathic medical student. For today, I'm going to speak real briefly in introduction. I'm going to introduce Stephen and Tracy in just a moment. They're going to run through some information and really maybe you can give a good, like I mentioned, inside guide to what happens day to day as a student. From there, I'm going to do a very quick PowerPoint surrounding the admissions process. At the end of each presentation, we'll open up the floor for questions. So please don't hesitate at all to text me any question you have, and I promise we'll get to them in the appropriate order. Additionally, we will have our emails available at the end of each presentation. We're at your beck and call. Any questions we don't get to, please don't hesitate to contact us via phone or email, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. As you can see, just quick housekeeping, on the right-hand side of your GoToMeeting tab, there is a dialog box. You can opt to send a question directly to me as a facilitator or address the entire audience. Whatever you feel comfortable about is fine. Again, I'll get to the questions as quickly as I can. Please don't hesitate. Good morning, and let me introduce Stephen Katz and Tracy Cook. Tracy's currently a quarter 5 student. Mr. Katz is currently a quarter 10 student. And the really unique perspective is Tracy is part of a revised curriculum, the systems-based curriculum, where Stephen is part of the legacy curriculum. So can really help give you a little bit of an overview as well as a comparison and contrast of why we've gone to the revised curriculum and some of the successes surrounding it. So without further ado, good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you?
Wonderful. Good to hear your voice, young man. The floor is yours, Senator. I'll get out of your hair, and thank you again.
You're welcome. Hello, my name is Stephen. As Ralph pointed out, today me and Tracy are going to give you a student's perspective on Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. As he stated, I was a quarter 10 student. I started back in fall 2009. In my background, I was actually a pre-pharmacy major for my entire undergrad career. I worked in a pharmacy for almost 7 full years, and I just started, witnessing what pharmaceuticals were doing and how a lot of the patients I was seeing was not getting better. And I just, almost had like an epiphany one day where I just wanted to see a change. I wanted to see patients get better, which made me start looking into alternative medicine. And as of now, this has been the best decision I've made regarding my future. I'm going to hand it over to Tracy now.
Hi everyone, my name is Tracy Cook. I'm a quarter 5 student. I started in the fall of 2010, and so I'm in my 2nd year. I was a massage therapist for 15 years, and massage is a great career, and I had a really good time doing it, but what I found was I could only get people so much better. I never could get to what was really wrong. I could just deal with the symptom. And I grew up in Ohio, where naturopathic medicine is not licensed, so I didn't know much about it. But I moved to Alaska, and in Alaska, naturopaths are primary care physicians, and that's where I was first introduced to naturopathic medicine, and I was amazed because insurance paid for it, and the validity of the medicine really kind of hit me in the face. And so I started looking at colleges when I was in Alaska, and I did interview at other colleges, but SCNM was the one that got me. I'm the first class in the revised curriculum, and the revised curriculum was one of the reasons, besides the sunshine, that I chose SCNM. And what's amazing about it is when we're talking about the heart and we're learning the anatomy of the heart, we're also in the cadaver lab at the same time pulling the heart out, dissecting it, looking at all of the different parts of the heart. We're learning the biochemistry of the heart at the same time, physiology, histology, everything at one time. So it's already put together for us. So the revised curriculum was one of the big reasons that I ended up here. And it's been really amazing. All right, so that's why we chose SCNM. All right, I'm going to let Stephen talk to you a little.
Part of the great part of our school is that we have a great campus environment here. You know, it starts with the high-tech classrooms in which the professors do all the modern technology to help you learn in your program. One of the things they also do is the team-based learning now, which helps all the students work in groups, and the studies show that team-based learning has a higher success rate and when it comes to taking the NCLEX and board exams. So that is definitely one of the great parts to the revised curriculum. We also have a hands-on cadaver lab. There's a lot of schools out there that have cadaver labs, but the instructors or the teacher assistants are the ones that actually administer the dissection when it comes to working on the bodies. At SCNM, all the students do the dissection ourselves. We actually get the benefit of learning where the organs are and learning all of the anatomy on human bodies versus having to learn from a book. We also have a modernized medical center. The medical center has only been open a little over a year. It's right next to the school, and it's got new equipment. It's got new office space. It's got everything that a medical center should have when it comes to naturopathic medicine. It's also got a great medicinary in which it has all our products that we get to learn and use on each of our patients, which is always a great benefit to coming to SCNM.
We also have a lot of student-run organizations, which I'm going to tell you and show you some pictures of a little later. Our faculty is very accessible. They all have office hours, and all of the faculty members are more than willing to take the time with students. In addition to that, with the faculty accessibility, we also have a DDC tutoring center right on campus where we have tutors who will help you get through your classes. It's pretty amazing. The family atmosphere here is really good. Now, my family, my daughter is 23. Stephen has a young daughter, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about the family atmosphere.
And if I can interrupt real quick, Stephen or Tracy, I've got a question from Julie asking, what is the DDC? Would you mind going into a little more detail about the DDC?
Oh, sorry, using acronyms all the time. It's the Dr. Docere Center. So the DDC, one of the principles of naturopathic medicine is docere, which is doctor as teacher. So the DDC is a free tutoring center where students actually do the tutoring for other students. And it helps us because teaching is one of the principles that makes naturopathic medicine work. So as a DDC tutor, it helps me to be a better doctor by being able to tutor other students. Did that help, Ralph?
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so very much.
All right, and then also as far as the family atmosphere goes, that was one of the reasons, another reason that I chose SCNM. If you've ever visited the campus, you're going to feel a warmth on the campus that I didn't feel anywhere else. And it's one of the reasons that I love it here and that I stay here. The classes, we are very close, and it's not a really, I found it to be not cutthroat and competitive. I found it to be more supportive with the faculty and with the other students. So I'm going to let Stephen speak to his experience on that too.
Yeah, one of the great things about this school is that the upperclassmen are fully willing to help the lowerclassmen as well. We might be 2 years apart when it comes to the actual program, but anytime a student's ever asked for help, there's always somebody that is able to help them, and I feel that is a great aspect of this school. I thought it might have just been the class above me when I was starting the program 3 years ago, but it's been every class I've seen that came in, everybody's always willing to help, as well as when she's talking about the Doceri Center, the tutoring center, we also have a attachment to my SCNM where people are, when they come to the school, they can click on there, and there's a lot of the notes that were done by upperclassmen already there to help guide your studying. So I mean, that's definitely another way that we've all helped each other and pitched in to make the school as great as it is. I also want to tell you about one of the main questions I get asked when people are interviewing at the school is, what's the time commitment for SCNM? Well, it is a medical school, so it is a very tedious process, and it involves a lot of time. You will spend on average 30 to 35 hours per week in the classroom. So we tell people generally expect to be here We tell people to expect to be in the classroom around 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Sorry, guys. Stephen has a little bit of a cold. You can definitely expect to be in the medical in the school probably 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 4 or 5 days a week. The study time is going to depend on you and your study habits, your organizational habits. Some people will study 10 to 20 hours a week. Some people actually will put more time in than that. So it really depends on where you are and how organized you are with your studies. If you make effective use of your classroom time, then the study time can definitely be a lot less.
Yeah, and sorry about that, by the way. And she hit the nail. If you have really good organization skills, anybody can do anything, and this is no exception. A medical school is a great program to be in, and it's just that you have to be able to organize and be able to get all of this study time in. But it is possible. We all get through it. We all love the program, so it's definitely doable, as well as, there's always time for fun. There's a lot of hours in the day. We do a lot of studying. We do a lot of schoolwork, but there is time for fun. There's time for friends. There's time for family.
And this is where I excel. The time for fun is time for me. Okay, so here you see a picture. These are a lot of quarter 5 students. At the end of every quarter, we get together and we have some fun. So you'll see, and I don't know if this, it's hard to, does that move? Yep. Oh, now Naturopaths Without Borders. So we have a lot of student organizations. And if you look down in the lower right-hand corner, I have on purple, right, yeah, that's it. That's me right there. So I've got the white T-shirt on and the purple scrubs. Naturopaths Without Borders is one of the programs that was started at SCNM, and we actually have a clinic down in Mexico that once a month we go down and we provide free care to the people of the community down in Rocky Point. Everybody is eligible to go. It's a volunteer thing. We have licensed physicians who go with us, as well as clinical students. And what was really amazing was, even as a quarter 1 student, because of the revised curriculum, I could go down and I was taking blood pressures my first month in school, and I was able to help out. So Naturopaths Without Borders is one of the things that we have that makes our school phenomenal. We are also getting Naturopaths Without Borders sites in Haiti as well. So more to come on that. There we go. Okay, so just so you guys see, Christmas Eve 2011, you see what I was doing. I was out hiking in the desert. It was 65 degrees. The sun was shining. The sun shines every day in Arizona. It's pretty amazing. The picture next to that, the Enact Gala, that's myself and my daughter, who is here in Arizona with me. She's 23 years old. The Enact Gala is a fundraising organization, or it's a fundraising event. ENACT is a campus group that we have that has to deal with legislative issues and getting naturopathic medicine licensed in all the states. So once a year we go to an event called DC Fly, which is coming up in May in Washington, D.C., and we actually learn how to speak to legislators and learn how to advance the cause of naturopathic medicine. So the gala is just one of the fundraising events that we have for that. We have other phenomenal student organizations, and if you're interested in learning more about those, I can tell you about those as well. What makes us different? And like I said, I did tour other schools and I did interview at other schools. The revised curriculum was really what caught my eye, and I talked a little bit about that. Team-based learning is part of the revised curriculum, and what I really like about that is in a group of five brains, especially 5 brains that are in medical school, are better than one. And if there was something that I didn't know, there's somebody else in the group who did know it, or as a group we could always get the answer, and it just enhances the learning experience. So TBL will be a part of your curriculum from day one throughout the entire curriculum. The early clinical experience in the revised curriculum, you're in the clinic from day one as well. So like I said, we were learning blood pressures and how to do vitals on somebody from the very first week, whereas in the legacy curriculum, it started in quarter 6 that they started doing that. So we have a lot of hands-on clinical experience by the time we actually get into the clinic, and that makes a huge difference in what kind of doctor I think that will be. Our community outreach programs are phenomenal. In addition to the Naturopaths Without Borders, we have off-sites in an HIV/AIDS clinic that you can work in, an alcohol and drug rehab clinic. There's one called the Hamilton Elementary Clinic, and this is a grade school that is mostly Spanish speaking, and we provide free medical care there as well.
On top of the Hamilton Elementary, we also have a Hamilton family center as well, so we actually give care to the entire family, not just the elementary school. The school has a lot of different programs, not always even run by the school, as the students also have I'm HopeTep Circle, which is a student-run organization in which they do a lot of community programs. They did a clothing drive. They've done a food drive recently, just since Christmas time. So, I mean, we provide a lot of different programs out in the community to help not only naturopathic medicine, but to help underprivileged centers out there learn more about naturopathic medicine and holistic care. So why should we choose naturopathic medicine? Well, the best thing about naturopathic medicine is I really learn everything about medicine. We learn homeopathy, we learn oriental medicine and acupuncture, we learn hydrotherapy, all different forms of it. We learn how to do environmental medicine, and we learn how to do physical medicine through muscle testing, through chiropractics, through trigger points. I mean, we learn everything a chiropractor would learn, plus everything else. I mean, we learn how to do minor surgery, and in some states we're licensed to do minor surgery, which is a great thing to have in your practice. We learn everything about nutrition, and in medical school, especially naturopathic medical school, you learn that nutrition is the key to health, and we learn so much more nutrition than any other medical program out there. And we actually learn how the body's biochemistry works in order to treat the cause and heal the patients. We learn botanical medicine and herbs and all those other great aspects to naturopathic medicine, as well as we learn mind-body medicine and being able to learn how to counsel with your patients when they just need counseling versus prescription drugs and all those other things. But we also learn pharmaceuticals as well, because as a practitioner, your patients oftentimes might still see an MD, and we have to understand and know what he's prescribing to the patients in order to properly treat them. On the other hand, MDs are not taught all the things that are above that we are taught. So they might not understand what we're actually learning, but we still understand what they're learning. So I think that's an absolutely great thing about learning naturopathic medicine.
The principles of naturopathic medicine are listed on your screen, and these are things that are taught from the very first quarter on and really are the basis of what we practice. First, do no harm, the healing power of nature. We understand that the body has the ability to heal itself. We identify and we treat the cause as opposed to treating symptoms, which can make a huge difference in care. And we treat the person as a whole. We don't treat their disease, we treat that person. Docere, the physician as teacher, I talked a little bit about that. That is a very important aspect of what we do, and it makes us more effective. And then, of course, prevention is the best cure. Prevention, you know, is the thing that will make us not even have to treat somebody.
And when learning about these naturopathic principles, it's essential when you read these. It should be the mindset of every single physician in the world, but it's not anymore. It's actually a minority of physicians out there that actually believe in these principles and treat people as such. But naturopathic medicine does do this. They do teach this, and that's why being a naturopathic physician is so great and fulfilling, both mentally and emotionally. When you're dealing with patients, you actually get to see them better, and you actually get to see them improve on a lot of different diseases out there that MDs and a lot of other physicians will tell them that there's nothing else they can do, and yet they'll come here and they'll be healed. And it happens all the time at our medical center and throughout the community at other naturopathic centers. So that's our presentation. Thank you for listening, and we're able to answer any questions you still have.
Thank you so very much, Stephen and Tracy. Boy, I have a whole handful of questions for you, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll get to as many as we can, and I'll try to compile them all the best I can. Got a really, really good question, and it's really talking about both student life here and life as an Arizona citizen. I've been here my entire life and have grew up about a mile and a half from campus, so I might be a little jaded in my opinions. But coming from other places, Stephen and Tracy, how would you define the lifestyle here in Tempe? What's our water situation here in Tempe? Several students have asked that. That made me smile. And how would you say the hiking, biking, and really outdoor activities are here, both as a community and as a college?
Definitely I can speak to the hiking and biking aspect. Like I said, I lived in Alaska for a few years, so I was used to huge mountains. So when I first came to Arizona, I wasn't sure about the hiking, but there are areas 10 minutes away from the college where you can actually get out and get some amazing, amazing hikes. This part of Arizona has some really phenomenal state parks right in the area. Tempe is a bike-friendly city, so there are bike lanes so that you can actually bike anywhere that you want. And a lot of people actually live close enough to the college that they can either walk or bike to the college. I came from Ohio and then Alaska, and so for me the sunshine and the warm temperatures are phenomenal. I love sunshine every day. I never have to decide, you know, can I go hiking tomorrow because it might rain, because it's not going to rain. You can go hiking every day. So it's really the atmosphere here as far as things to do outside is really phenomenal.
And if you're looking for a good time, I mean, our school is located within 2 miles of one of the largest universities in the world at Arizona State University, so there's always things to do around this area, as well as if you're a sports fan, we're one of the few states that have all 4 major sports, as well as Tracy said, there's nothing better than the weather out here. I mean, I can wear a t-shirt 300 plus days a year if I want, and it's definitely always comfortable. When it comes to like life and living arrangements, you know, because we're also so close to Arizona State University, you know, you can type in the school zip code of 85282 and you can type that in on one of the renting sites and it'll come up with 200 different apartment complexes located within miles of the school. So it's definitely It's definitely accessible. It's very inexpensive when comparing it to other areas around the country. You can find rent as cheap as 300 and something a month versus I know the average at a lot of other places are up near the $800–900 a month in other areas. So that's definitely a plus, being able to have easy accessibility to renting out here, as well as just any other activity you can think of when it comes to Arizona. Because the weather's so great and the area we're located in, you're within a short drive from any activity you want. We have skiing in Flagstaff that's within a couple hours. We have the Grand Canyon that's a couple hours away. And, you know, if you're having a real good weekend, you got Vegas that's only 6 hours away.
Holy mackerel. Put your money on that one. Great question, everybody. I'm smiling as we're discussing this. I'm looking out my office window, and I'm looking at South Mountain, which is just a really, really great desert preserve. I've spent a lot of time hiking there as a kid. The exact other direction in the due east, we have the Superstition Mountains, which are a famous mountain range here, which hundreds of fantastic hiking trails. I'm thinking specifically of the First Water Trail and the Peralta Trailhead. Those are literally a 15-minute drive from where we're at. We're really unique here in the desert, and 2.5 hours due north, I can put you in high country, where in the winter there is that white stuff that falls from the sky. I've heard of it before. It's called snow, I think. And that has high pine trees and is a very rich and dense forest compared to the valley that we're in right now, which is really that desert and kind of the xeriscape ecosystem. I've got a really, really good question from Tamar, and it's really relevant to both Stephen and Tracy. He asked if either of you have children, and if so, how you manage study and school time with small children, and what coping skills do you have, and if it's a possibility to both attend and graduate from medical school with children.
Okay, I'll actually speak first. I do have a child, but she's 23, and she moved here with me after she graduated from college, and she's actually attending acupuncture school. So for me, I don't have the diversion of family, but there are people in my class that do, and I know Stephen does. So I'm going to let him speak to how he handles this.
Well, I had the privilege of having a 5-month-old baby girl currently at my house, who I love more than anything. It's absolutely a change having a little one at home, and it does change my studying habits and all those other things. But I was definitely able to manage both my family life at home as well as school life here. It is definitely doable. You just have to be able to, you know, organize everything, and then you're able to do it. I see I come home, we have dinner almost every single night. We go out, we have date nights. We bring the baby along, of course. So yeah, it's definitely, it was a change for me just because it happened right in the middle of medical school. And, you know, my wife was pregnant while I was in pretty much my entire second year. So it definitely was a change, but it was definitely doable. And honestly, having the baby actually changed my entire outlook on the program in general. Just now, I mean, I actually see that, you know, I'm doing a lot of this work. Yeah, I want to help everybody and everything, but it's like, you know, I want to leave that legacy with my child, and I'm able to teach my child, you know, naturopathic medicine, and she'll be able to teach her friends about naturopathic medicine, and it'll definitely be a way to have the program grow it as well.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. I've got a really, really good question here, and I'm glad we're getting into the nuts and bolts of it. And I want to express again, transparency is really something we believe in both as an institution and in the admissions department ourselves. We want to make sure that we're always giving students all the accurate information. This is a very, very challenging program. It commands a lot of time, effort, energy, and 4 years of your life. So we always want to make sure that it's the right fit for both potential students and us as an institution. Eventually, Stephen and Tracy will be more than just classmates. Ultimately, they're going to be colleagues in the medical profession. Stephen and Tracy, if I can ask you to give me your opinions and to our potential audience about this question. And a very, very good question and very impactful question, and there's a million answers. And the question is about the validity of NDs, naturopathic doctors, in comparison to MDs, and the kind of training that an ND, a naturopathic doctor, would get compared to a conventional allopathic medical student. And would you touch on that briefly, please?
I actually would love to talk about this because coming into the program and being from the state of Ohio, where it wasn't licensed, I knew people who practiced under the radar of the state medical board, and so I kind of questioned what they were doing. And what I found when I got here, and actually when I got to Alaska and met some licensed naturopathic doctors, is that the education is phenomenal. We literally learn everything that an MD learns. We have to know what they do because we're treating their patients. And then on top of that, in addition to that, we learn all of our own modalities too. So we learn how the allopathic medical world treats patients, and then we learn how we are going to treat them and get them better. So the validity of it, you know, in some states people still don't believe in what we do, and that's what the ENACT group is about increasing awareness of how valid what we do is and getting it out there. And I was a skeptic before I came in, and I completely believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and that I will be able to help people get better with this. So.
Wonderful.
And as spoken earlier, I mean, this is our scope of practice. Okay, when you go to a conventional medical school, their primary scope of practice is down here. And like I said, from working in the pharmacy for so many years, I mean, I saw what pharmaceuticals do. There's a time and place for them, but the way they're used now is unheard of, and it's really sad that that's the state of a lot of the medical programs in this country. I can give you a quick example of it as well. As you know, I had a family member that had a prostatitis, which is it's an infection in the prostate, and went to multiple different MDs, and all they did was give him antibiotics. And he went to a specialist for this, and he gave him a different antibiotic, and he ended up taking antibiotics for 6 months. And only 10% of actual prostatitis is a bacterial infection. Therefore, they treated him for 6 months with something he didn't have. When giving them antibiotics, it destroys the flora lining through your GI system, which can cause a whole bunch of other problems. And as well as, so I had him go to a naturopath in which they confirmed that it was a actual candida infection. So they put him on a candida diet, a partial candida diet. They gave him probiotics. They gave him a prostate formula with a bunch of different herbs in there that helped him, as well as they gave him an antifungal, and the infection cleared up within a month. So that's the type of medicine we do. We're treating the cause. We're not just treating pharmaceutically. And in some states, you know, we still have pharmaceutical rights as well, so we can still do everything they do, and then we can do everything else that they can't do. So it's definitely, it's a growing field. It's a great time to come into this field, and it's it's a great time to come into this field as we are growing, and it's going to do nothing but skyrocket in popularity because people are seeing what we do on a daily basis, and it's getting better and better.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I think Stephen really hit the nail on the head. And the way I look at it when I reviewed the curriculum is the amount of hours that our students spend on each individual area is equivalent to MD school, and sometimes in excess of what you would expect in MD school. That would include pharmacology, pathology, embryology. I look at it as having more tools in your tool belt. You can really delve into the root cause of what's ailing your potential patients and find the right way to help them to the road to health again. I had a student say to me last week something that really resonated with me. I'll share that, and then I'm going to move on to the admissions portion, and we'll be able to ask Stephen and Tracy some additional questions at the end of our program today. And what she had mentioned, she said, I go to my MD to get treated, and I go to my ND to get healed. And I really smiled when she said that, because that really, to me, paraphrased exactly what the charge of naturopathic physicians is let's not mask these symptoms. Let's find out the root cause of an ailment, and let's address that, and ultimately equating to a better quality of life for everybody. Great questions. We'll get to some more of them in just a moment.
Ralph, can I just say one more thing?
Please do.
Actually, as far as the validity of what we do, just recently there's been federal legislation passed where we can get loan repayment through Indian Health Services. And that was one of the big legislative movements that brings naturopaths to the forefront of medicine as well.
Great point, and you're absolutely correct. Thank you so much. Stephen, would you mind sending the PowerPoint my way on the Change Presenter so everybody can have access to my screen? Thank you, sir.
Sure. There we go.
There we go, and if you can hit your mute button, please.
Yes.
Excellent, wonderful. I hope everybody can see my screen. It's going to be a green screen, and it's going to say Applying to Naturopathic Medical School. I'm going to do a real quick outline of both the procedures and the requirements here at SCNM. Please don't hesitate to shoot me any questions that you have, and again, if for some reason I cannot get to them, you can email me directly, or I'll try to get back to you after the webinar. Also, I want to bring to everybody's attention, I've got a very special webinar coming up on Tuesday, March 20th. I've got 4 SCNM alumni that have graciously offered to give us a little bit of time that morning. And they're really going to discuss their trajectory in naturopathic medicine, what they did after graduation, what they did to build their practices in both licensed and unlicensed states, and really I think can give a great insight to what to do as far as what to do after graduation. So please register for that one early and quickly. It's going to fill up as well. We will have a landing page on scnm.edu where we'll be able to see archived copies of any of the webinars that you may have missed, and feel free to access those at your convenience. Without further ado, applying to a naturopathic medical school. Really, this is a multi-stage process, and let me see if we can pull this up here for you. There we go. We have some major factors that we look at for our applicants. We're going to look at letters of recommendation, application essays. We're going to look at your CV, your curriculum vitae, or resume. We're going to look at your prerequisite coursework. Ultimately, upon fruition of all of this documentation, the next step would be a potential student would be granted an in-person interview here at SCNM, where they would spend the day with us and really get a feel of the college and get a feel of both the curriculum and the culture of the school. And then based on the outcome of that personal interview, a student can be accepted into the college. Grades is a very common subject with students. It comes up quite a bit, and I really want to address the absolutes about this as well as maybe some of the practical applications. For our students, we want to see a minimum GPA, a cumulative GPA of 2.5. For the prerequisite coursework, which I'll go into in a moment, we want to see a minimum GPA of 3.0. Based on that, that's what the minimum requirements are. Based on your academic history and what you've done, we certainly look at grades, we certainly look at GPA, but that is not the only mitigating factor to determine if somebody is going to be a good fit for both the college and the profession. I would be prepared if I had some substandard grades on my transcript if I was granted an interview, to explain those, to have a rational reason behind them. We all have coursework that we struggle with greatly, so don't let the fear factor climb into you. Keep a minimum cumulative GPA of 2.5 and a prerequisite GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you've met the minimum requirements. Currently, we do not require either the GRE or the MCAT as part of the admissions process. The ideology behind that is ideally those tests may not be a good indicator of what we're looking for in potential doctors. I personally think it would be very, very hard to quantify somebody's ability to become a physician or not a physician based on a certain set of standardized testings. Therefore, we look at the admissions process very similarly to how you eventually will as a naturopathic doctor, and that's a holistic approach to this process. There's many, many facets that make up you, both personally, professionally, and academically. So it would be very, very challenging to look at a very small portion of that and determine your ability to move forward through the curriculum and ultimately build a career for yourself. So that's why we have the GPA minimums where they're at, and why currently the MCAT and the GREs are not required as part of the admissions. Letters of recommendation. Currently, we require 3, a healthcare professional, academic letter, and if you have current employment or supervisor. If not, I have students who are coming right from undergraduate. Any additional letter in the above 2 categories is very acceptable. To me, this is a really important aspect of applying to medical school. It's something that's in our control. As you go through school, as you go through class, as you go through your life, you'll find these professionals and professors that really strike a chord with you. You understand them very well, and they understand you very well. And we always have that one person that kind of stands out to us as we go through life. Build a relationship with that person. Let them know what your intents are, that you're going to be applying to naturopathic medical school. Have them notice that you're going to stand out a little bit. Therefore, when they write the letter for you, they're able to really delve into the essence, which is you, instead of a form letter or just standardized language. Build that relationship so they can really write a great letter of recommendation and really put you a cut above and have you stand out. Application essays are embedded inside the application, which we'll get to in just a moment. With our new NDCAS system, it allows students to complete their application in multiple sittings. The application, as you can imagine, is fairly lengthy, so that gives you some time to really clear your head and put some thought into your application essays. Each of these are individually read by both the admissions department, and if granted an interview, will be read by the interview panel as well. So this is really a time where you can express what's in your head and what's in your heart, and explain why this is a right fit and why this is what you want to do. So take time, make that true personal commitment to your application essays, very important facet. Your curriculum vitae or CV or resume, really make sure that you document all accomplishments. This is not the time to be humble. I always think more is better in this particular aspect. Anything that you're involved in, any student group, extracurricular activity, social group, anything that you feel would be relevant, please document that and make it look nice and beautiful for the interview panel. Right now, we're one of the schools that have really been involved with NDCAS. Our president, Dr. Mittman's, really philosophy is we're pioneers in the industry. We have vision here. We'd like to set the pace and really set the standard. With that, the decision was made to use NDCAS, which is a naturopathic doctor central application service. Very similar to what you would expect with conventional allopathic medical schools, most chiropractic schools, DO schools, even veterinarian and dental schools. It's a central depository for your information, and it allows you to apply to multiple schools without the inconvenience of doing separate applications. You will be required to enter all your post-secondary coursework. So if you're getting close to application, you might want to start retrieving that information now. I've had several questions today asking about the average age of our student population here. For ND schools, the average age currently is 32. Here at SCNM, our average student age is 36, so a little bit higher. So with that, we have students who have attended college at a time, for myself, back in the early 90s. I'm dating myself. So it might be a little bit challenging having all that information on the top of your head. So start looking at those unofficial transcripts now, really documenting what coursework you have taken, and that will be a requirement in NDCAS to add that information. Again, some of the great aspects of having NDCAS is the ability to complete the application in multiple sittings. You can really take the time to present the information in the way that you see fit. Most of our dialogue and most of our connection with you is going to be via your paperwork, outside of the personal aspect that we have in admissions via voice-to-voice, and we do have students who come in and see us. If granted an interview, the only thing the interview panel is ultimately going to see until they have the opportunity and pleasure to meet you is your paperwork. It really is going to represent you. So make sure it's as thorough and complete as possible. Give yourself every possible advantage. Currently, the academic requirements at SCNM is we need a completed bachelor's degree from an accredited post-secondary institution. That is a 4-year bachelor's degree. We have a good percentage of Canadian applicants, and I understand that there are 3-year degree and 3-year bachelor degree programs available. We require a 4-year bachelor's degree program. Pre-med biology is certainly preferred, but absolutely not required. I've seen students with undergraduate degrees in everything from anthropology to zoology. So if you're not on the pre-med track or biology track, don't panic. I think it adds a better fundamental background to be successful in school. But if you have a degree in something other than those two subjects and you've been able to get through the prerequisites and you feel like you have a good command over the subject matter, that's a really, really good thing. Currently, we have something available to students that is called the non-degree equivalent. I do have students that have been lifelong learners who have not completed a particular academic path. If you do not have a 4-year bachelor's degree, the requirement would be 60 lower division credits and 60 upper division credits. So if you have 120 credits total, 60 under division, or I'm sorry, lower division and 60 upper division, that can be used as a bachelor's degree or equivalent. And please, if you're in that particular situation, we'll look at it case by case and certainly get you the best information we can. I hope everybody is holding on to your seats. I have not announced this yet, and you guys are going to be the first to hear it, although we will make a little more of an official announcement later. As of right now, we will look at online science coursework for prerequisite coursework. Up until now, the science portion of your prerequisite coursework needed to be completed in the classroom with a physical lab. I think with some of the great advances they've done with both virtual labs and labs in-house, as well as virtual lectures and online lectures, as long as the institution that you're obtaining the online information from is accredited and does have a lab component, it can be used to fill your prerequisite requirement. As we're implementing this system, if you fall into that category, if it's something you'd like to do, please contact your admissions rep and give them a syllabus of the class that you plan on attending. Let's make sure that it meets the requirements of what we're looking for. The purpose of the prerequisites is really to make sure that you're adequately prepared for medical school. You will cover everything an MD learns and so very much more. So having a good command over both biology, chemistry, and the human body, anatomy and physiology, is an absolute necessity in order to be successful. Currently our prerequisites, and you don't need to worry about writing all this down, I've got it directly located on the website as well. We require 12 semester credits of biology. Historically that's been three 3-credit lectures and, I'm sorry, 4 3-credit lectures and a 3 and a 1-credit lab. I'm sorry, I'm reading 2 things at the same time. 8 semester credits in chemistry, which would be 2 3-credit lectures and 1 1-credit lab. And 4 semester credits in organic or biochemistry. If you've not taken that coursework yet, the professors here and physicians have really recommended potential students take biochem instead of the organic chem. They feel it would be much more relevant to the program here and might prepare you a little bit better for that transition into medical school. So if you need prerequisites or are thinking about going back and taking some additional prerequisites, please consider biochem instead of the organic chem. 6 semester credits in psychology, 6 semester credits in English. 3 of those credits need to be a writing intensive course. 6 semester credits of humanities, and a total of 3 semester credits of physics. Currently, outside of the science coursework, those can be CLEP credits, which would be the college equivalent test, and now all can be taken online from an accredited institution. Upon submission of all this paperwork, your admissions rep here work very, very closely with you. We take a personal interest in each and every potential student here. You are what is important to us. You're our job. And making your transition, both through application and ultimately matriculation, if accepted, our job is to make sure that's as seamless and painless and as stress-free as possible. You have a lot on your plate, especially if you're a college student, if you're working. It can be a very stressful time applying for medical school. Our job is to make sure that we can share that burden with you. We can do whatever we can to make sure that we help you in every way that's physically possible. Once this information here is gathered through your admissions rep, it'll be reviewed by the admissions department. If it's completed and if accepted, you can be granted, as we spoke about, the personal interview. That is done physically here on campus here in lovely Tempe, Arizona. Usually that group of potential students can be anywhere between 12 and 20. You'll spend the day here at SCNM and really have some exposure to faculty, to students, to staff. Spend the day interviewing us, and each of you will have about a 45-minute slot where you'll be interviewed specifically by the SCNM interview panel, which usually consists of an MD, an ND, and faculty member. And like most things here, always include a member of the student body as well. The importance of really staying in touch with our student body is really an amazing attribute of our school. Most decisions that I've been involved in administration here, we've always had a student representative to make sure that the point of view of our student body is always adequately reflected. And again, ultimately these people that you meet will eventually be hopefully classmates and colleagues, which is an exciting thing to think about. Some of the relationships that are built here are just absolutely outstanding and amazing. Here's my information. Again, my name's Ralph Chandos. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. My email is r.chandos@scnm.edu. And I'm certainly open to questions at this time. And let's see what we have here, and I'll try to get each of them as we can. And thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at this. How difficult does it get both a dual degree in ND and acupuncture? That is a fantastic question. Currently, we do offer a dual degree program. I would say it would be very challenging. And depending on where you intend on practicing, it may be unnecessary. Currently, our head of Chinese medicine here is Dr. Dang, who is a renowned acupuncturist and really one of the leading authorities in Chinese medicine. I feel he really gives enough foundational knowledge to be successful in acupuncture as part of our curriculum. Currently, in the state of Arizona, an ND can practice acupuncture underneath their ND license, so the additional degree is not necessary. If you plan on practicing somewhere where that additional certification is necessary, we have an articulation agreement with Pima College, which is about a half-mile here from campus, that will allow you to obtain your master's degree in acupuncture while also obtaining your doctorate degree in naturopathic medicine. It is absolutely possible, very challenging, but absolutely can be done. Again, we'll look at your case specifically and make sure it's necessary first. Make sure it's necessary. Great question. Thank you very much for asking it. Maren has a great question. Do you have time to stay fit and to exercise for going to school? And I have to say that with the biggest absolutely, with the exclamation point I possibly can, and that naturopathic medicine is foundationally based on balance of body, mind, and spirit. So exercise, nutrition, as well as feeding the mind is an extremely important aspect of staying balanced here at SCNM. So yes, there's quite a few groups to join, and certainly something that you'll have time for, and have many other like-minded individuals around you as well. I have a lot of questions.
Hey, Ralph, can I chime in on that?
Absolutely, please.
Thank you. We definitely, as students, we definitely find time for exercising and any other recreational thing to help us stay as fit as possible. We have to do that, because we have that mentality, to be a naturopath, you want to look like a naturopath. And so, I mean, I do a lot of swimming, as Tracy was talking about, hiking and stuff like that. So there's definitely ability to do all of your normal recreational activity, as well as a lot of the apartment complexes will have recreational centers inside the complexes. Therefore, they'll have all the machines for you there that you'll be able to use when you live in that complex.
Great point, Stephen. In fact, I can't think of an area around here that doesn't offer that as part of their amenities. I've mentioned earlier I've lived in Tempe my entire life. I've grown up about a half-mile from the school. I've gone from preschool all the way through college within this 2-mile radius. And Tempe is a great community to live in. It has a very inexpensive cost of living. It's about 4% less than the national average. Surrounding the campus itself are about 13 different apartment communities as well as condo communities. Everything here is very accessible. I've had a lot of questions today about working while attending school. Great question. The practical aspect of it is, as much as all of us would love to just go to school full-time, we need to render an income. We have to survive during this time of education. The majority of our students utilize Title IV funding, which is very similar to this level as it was if you use student loans as an undergraduate. Just in larger dollar amounts. Fortunately for medical schools, there is enough funding currently available for some students to meet all of their tuition and book requirements, as well as leave enough stipend at the end of every month for living expenses. Looking at it from a practical aspect, if you were able to budget your money properly, and qualify for the full amount of funding, I do not think it would be necessary to work through the 4 years in medical school. And ideally, I would discourage it at least for the first year. I have noticed that students sometimes do pick up an additional job year 2, year 3, just for some additional income, maybe help reduce their student debt prior to graduation, or have a little bit of a nest egg for after graduation. And yes, we do have a full-time career services department here to help students with that. SCNM, as part of our vision, we were the first school to offer a career development center, and currently we're the only ND school to have a full-time director of career development on staff and on campus during normal hours to assist students to really find some work and hopefully the field in which they've chosen. So a really, really good question. Thank you so very much. I hope I addressed it for you. I've got time for one more, and let's take a look here. I'm going to address a broad subject. There's a lot of questions regarding the scope of practice as an MD as compared to an ND. Again, I'm going to use Arizona as the example. Arizona has what we would consider a very broad scope of practice, which is great for both practicing physicians and incoming students. As a potential student, it's wonderful that you get to actually practice what you're learning. Being a physician is very, very hands-on. Having the information is not enough if you're not able to adequately present that information to your patients for a better quality of life. So here in Arizona, the scope of practice is similar to an MD. They can write out prescription. They do have pharmacology rights. They can do minor surgery as well, and they can diagnose and treat diseases very similar to an MD. Depending on the state regulation and the state which you're in, that scope of practice will vary. I know there are practicing NDs in virtually every state and successful practices in virtually every state. If you have some very specific questions in regard to licensing and state scope of practice, please don't hesitate to contact your admissions representative or me, of course, and we'll get you all the specifics about your area. Some of the most prosperous practices I'm familiar with are in unlicensed states. I won't use any specific examples without their previous permission, but I know some extremely, extremely prosperous, successful practices in what we would consider an unlicensed state. For additional information, you can go to scnm.edu, and there's a resource there for everything, as well as a list of the admissions advisors. We break those down by alphabet just so we can really have a good overview of where people are at, but you can call any of us at any time for any reason, and we're always happy to help you. Stephen and Tracy, thank you so very much. I know how time is such a commodity to you too, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to speak with myself and our potential students.
You're welcome.
Thank you again. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please don't miss our March 20th. It's going to be wonderful. Discovery Day is coming up at the end of March as well. If you're here traveling in the state of Arizona, that's our annual open house, and you can register online as well. I hope to see and speak to everybody soon, and have a healthy, happy, and wonderful day. Thank you so much.